welcome to this Photoshop tutorial. My name is Tanya Arpa and I design book covers, among other things. Today I will be teaching you how to crop people from photographs. This is something you'll need to know if you do book covers. You need to make it look polished and professional. And here's how I do it. For today's example, I will be using a book I designed called That Kind of Guy by Mina V. Esguerra. It features a couple of models on the cover, Rachel Coates and Jeff Flores. The photography was done by Gio Rodriguez, who happens to also be a romance author. This is how I did the cropping for this particular book cover. Let's get to it. So the first thing is you start with a basic crop. Now, I copied the photograph into a new file with a transparent background. There you go. So we're going to use the object selection tool. There are different modes, as you can see. We are going to be using a couple of these later. You can use rectangle mode or lasso mode. There are actually different kinds of object selections you have, but this is the one we're going to use, object selection tool. And you have select subject and select mask. These are two actions you can use while using this tool. We're going to use select subject. This is how Photoshop automatically selects the image to be cropped, which is really good if the background is blank. Like in this case, it's gray. But however, there are some bits that need to be cleaned out. Like for instance, the space between Rachel and Jeff. We're gonna use the object. What is that? Subtract from selection tool. There you go. It's easy. To use it, just press Alt. There you go. Now to add more, because certain bits got missed, that's the add to selection tool. Just press Shift and oops, let's do this again. There you go. And there you go. That's the basic crop. And now if, for instance, you don't have a plain background, you will need to manually crop the couple. You just use the lasso tool and just go around. And of course you will miss some bits, so just keep adding. Again, to add, press Shift. If you don't, you're gonna lose your previous selection. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm having problems with Jeff's pants. Oh. You can always clean this up later, but for now, let's take out the gaps. So subtract from selection. Use Alt. Just press Alt while you do it. There you go. And under Rachel's chin. Let's not miss that bit. And now you can see there's some hair that's outside the boundaries. This is fine. We will fix this later. Okay, next. Let's put a background. I like to work with a background in a color that is not found in the selection I want to crop. So let's mask this. So that's a mask. Okay. It reveals the selection, so you can only see the part which you've selected. The image stays the same. You're not doing anything to it. It's just a mask. Now we're gonna clean it up a bit. Now, if you press on the mask, if you select the mask under layers, you're now working with black and white. Now, if you use a white paintbrush, you add, and if you use black, you're subtracting like what we just did. There, that's more or less cleaned up. Now let's do a background. Let's pick a color that isn't found in the image that you're trying to crop for contrast, right? So we're gonna do a bright lime green. Yeah, that's lovely. Now that we've done the basic crop, we will now refine the edges of our selection because we want it clean and polished. We select the selection again. Select the selection. Anyway, just press Command while clicking on the mask layer. And then we go back to Object Selection tool. Click on Select and Mask. You will be brought to this interface. So as you can see, the background you made, the lime green background, is still there. It helps us work better. Now, just using the Refine Edge tool, we just brush, just brush it, the pointer thing around the edges, and Photoshop will refine the edges for us. As you can see, the hair is looking a little more fluffy now. It's really the hair that matters. Everything else is just really easy to crop. But you gotta clean it up. Photoshop will do most of the work for you, as you can see. Look, the gray is disappearing little by little. Just run the Refine Edge tool all over the edges. Look at these cuties. And it's not just hair, like the hair on your head. There's other hair to think about, like eyelashes, eyebrows. In this case, Jeff is a little scruffy. Now, being able to do this means that you will no longer be limited by what photographs you can use on your book covers. If a photo is hard to crop, you're just gonna give up and use another picture. And you want to be able to have a wider selection of photographs to use. Now, the settings for this, I don't have any standard settings. I just, play around with it. Contrast, feather, smoothness. And just save the settings for my next job, for the next picture. And then play around with it some more. You don't just have to refine the edges of like hair, but pretty much the entire photograph, at least the part you're trying to crop. So there, just run it around the edges. You can see the hair is starting to show, the fine hairs. It's beginning to look a little more natural. Just adjust the size of your brush as needed. For the edges of head hair, I like to use a bigger brush. And like partly soft. Like hardness is at 50%. To quickly change your brush size and hardness, just right click. It'll show up. And there we go. It's not perfect, but just make some adjustments. Shift edge is actually interesting because I don't always need to use it, and if I do, it's usually I usually need it to be like a negative number. I don't even know what I was doing here. Why I was putting it up to, what is that, 15%? If you observe the video, you can see what shift edge does. Okay, I'm telling you ahead, this refine edge demo, this one is a bad, well, it's not bad, but I wasn't happy with it. There you go. So output to new layer with mask. So what happens is there's a new layer with a mask and the old layer was preserved. Now let's go to Refine Edge Part 2 because the first one I was not happy with it. Alright, so after you do the Refine Edge thing, go back, zoom in, check your work. This is not good. It's a bit too feathery and not very natural. Right? Like you can see it looks cropped is what I'm saying. It shouldn't look cropped. It should look natural. So what we're gonna do is we are going to select it again, click on the layer with Command, and then be sure you're in the object selection tool when you click on select and mask. And we're gonna, the smoothness was too high. That was nuts. See, that's what happens when it's too smooth. It pretty much smoothens out the edges, and you don't really want that because hair, it's not supposed to look smooth. It's supposed to look fluffy. I like fluffy hair. We shifted the radius a bit, well, a lot actually. I usually stay with a radius of 20 px generally, and just adjust a little bit. So there, we're lowering the feather. You can see the hair is looking a little more fluffy. Look at that. There you go. And Jeff has really fluffy hair. I think the contrast is still a bit much, but we'll see. Look at that, fluffy hair. And it's not. Ignore the rest of like the shirt and the arms. Now, as you can see, there are some gaps that show up, which is fine. That part's easy to fix. So long as the edges are refined, we're good. So don't worry about it too much. Play around with the settings. See what works. See, I knew that contrast was too high. There you go. Rachel's hair is nice and smooth here, so it's not really giving me a lot of trouble. Like I said, some gaps are showing up, like holes in Jeff's face, as you can see, but that's fine. That's easily fixed. Just, there you go. Just run your brush around the edge. Keep going. I hope I'm not boring you. Because, there, you see the hair under her chin. That lock of hair. I mean, Rachel doesn't have hair in her chin. Yeah, unfortunately, Jeff was wearing a gray shirt. And this was shot with a gray background, which is why his shirt is giving us some problems. But that's fine. It's nothing we can't fix. There, you can see Rachel's hair is looking a little fluffier and more natural. Try not to miss a spot. And there we go. Just sorry for, zooming in and out, but that's just how I work. We're lowering the contrast a bit and it looks a little better. We're gonna do some final touches after this, so don't worry too much. Alright. We're done. We're done. Click OK, and then we have a new layer and a new mask. Just need to clean it up a bit. This part is cleaning up. Alright, so cleaning up. Let's clean up our work. Now, as you can see, the mask is selected under layers. This layer is selected, but the mask is selected. That way we can work with a brush using black and white to either fill into gaps or remove some stuff, erase some stuff we don't want. So brush, it's a little big. Again, just, right click and this will appear. You can adjust the size and the hardness of the brush. See, with a white brush, white paint, we are painting over the holes in Jeff's face. You gotta zoom in to see the places we've missed. There, just gently paint over it. Remember, we're doing this with the mask selected, okay? If you look at the layers, you can see the mask is selected, not the image. Because if the image were selected, we would be painting over it. And we don't want to do that. We want to keep the image pristine, the same as it was when you first pasted it on here. And we just work with the mask. The mask decides what gets to show and what doesn't. It's pretty straightforward, It's pants. It's Jeff's back. It's fine. So using some black ink. We are removing some of the, some parts that didn't get cut away. The smaller the brush, the lower the hardness needs to be. The softer it should be when you're doing this sort of thing. Oh, we missed the spot. Here we go. Alright. And now, yeah, you need to check the eyes because that part usually gets cropped out. There, you see some spots You're just filling them out with white paint using the brush tool. It's a simple brush tool. It's parts of her hair. It looks like some paint got spattered on them. It's fine. I told you it was easy. It's easy to fix. Make sure Jeff's face has no holes in it. There we go. Just brush. Just brushing white paint. There. Zooming in, zooming out, checking our work. Look, unless you enjoy doing this looks really tedious. But I don't know, this is fun for me. There, make sure we got all of Rachel's back. We're still brushing white paint, okay, over this section of the mask, making sure that it shows what we want it to show. Are we done? Alright, we're gonna... So, okay, you've cropped the couple. Now you can change the background to whatever you want. This is a peach background. This is a... what is this? Green background. There, see what it looks like. That's what happens when you crop a photo properly. Doesn't it look more natural now? I think so. Right. Now in this case, I wanted to flip them over for the cover because, I don't know, just look better that way. And now the final touches. Yes, there are final touches if you want it to look amazing. If you want your cover to look amazing. This is really Jeff's fault. His hair is so fluffy. Not that we're complaining. So, okay. This is what I'm talking about. Jeff's eyelashes. You can't see it. We need to show these eyelashes, right? Rachel looks great. Her eyelashes aren't giving us any problems. But we gotta fix Jeff's eyelashes. So let's do a new layer. Let's call it the background layer because it will be in the background. We're just basically duplicating the layer that we're working with. And with this layer, this background layer, we will change the blending. What you do is double click on the layer for this to show up. Layer style, we just use a darken blend mode. As you can see, opacity is at 100, etc. I just keep the default settings. Yeah, it looks weird, but trust me, this is important. Now, let's just rename this main layer Julie and Anton. These are the two main characters of the book, That Kind of Guy. Now, okay, let's hide Julie and Anton, the main layer, and work on the background. We just need to refine the edges a bit more for the purposes of hair. Actually, really, it's for the purposes of Jeff's eyelashes. If Jeff's eyelashes look okay in this layer, we're good. Everything else just falls into place. It has to do with the contrast. You want the eyelashes to show without there being any shadow. Ooh, that looks okay. That looks good. I think we got it. Now, as you can see, the radius is at what, 3 pixels? That's because hair has, hair is tiny. It makes sense that the radius of the edge should be smaller. Oh, that looks nice. Look at that. And again, brush the refine edge brush tool over the edges of their hair. Look at that, so fluffy. Can you see? You can see the tiny hairs. You can see Rachel's tiny hairs. Look at that, so fluffy. It wasn't this fluffy earlier, was it? Right? The previous crop? No, you didn't see those hairs. You see them now because we use the dark blending mode. Doesn't matter what the face looks like here because it will be covered. What's really important are the edges. The edges of their hair. Okay. So that's done. So we have a new layer again. That's why it's called background copy. And now we go back to the main layer. What we're going to do is we are going to make sure to select the mask. There you go. And then use the paintbrush. Now, like I said, to subtract, we need black. So yeah, there you go. We are going to remove the edges of the mask. So for the edges, we are looking at the background, the background layer when we see the edges of their hair. I don't know, am I making sense? Am I explaining this properly? So yeah, so you just basically trim the edges of the selection. There, look at those tiny hairs. You didn't see those before. See, it looks a lot more natural, right? Oh yeah, let's not forget Jeff's scruff. And again, Rachel's eyelashes are not giving us any problems. And look at that. Jeff's eyelashes. There you are. Yeah, like I said, if I'm doing the edges of the main head hair, I prefer the brush to be a little bigger. Wait, why am I using it such a small brush? It's nuts. Anyway, just do it all over the edges. There you go. See, look at all that fluffiness. These two are so cute. Aren't they? Just the cutest. I mean, if you're gonna shoot a couple of models for your romance book cover, you want there to be chemistry. Alright, I guess we're done. And voila! There's your couple. Properly cropped. Oof. And now they're ready. They're ready for your book cover. Okay, I'm not going to teach you how to make a book cover, but this is just basically how it looks before I added it to the book design. See, what is this? I think it's purple gray. We chose a purple gray background. And there you go. Just add the title, the author name, stuff, the back. This is the design for the print book. On the left, you have the back and then the spine, and you're done. Thank you for joining me in this tutorial. I hope this was helpful for you. If not, I don't know. Drop me a line. I have my info down in the description. And please don't forget to put your comments and questions, whatever. And I will reply, I guess. I mean, nothing too hard or philosophical. Just, something Photoshop related. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to subscribe. And I don't know. I have stuff in the description. Just go read it, please. Right, it's right there below. Thank you.